Welcome, everybody, to a Tuesday night special edition of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You're here with JP and Caleb. What's up, bro?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just looking at these guys we picked up today, all these futures deals, and I'm kind of happy with a few of them. How about you?
I
I
am
know
too,
you're
man.
happy with one. I am
Oh yeah,
too.
for sure.
So
For sure, man. Yeah, it's a great to see the Chiefs moving in the right direction, especially heading towards a playoff week. But yeah, there's some good players that they signed. Some
yeah,
pretty good players.
yeah, definitely. I'll let you go ahead and if you want to talk about your favorite out of the bunch, I'll let you go
Okay.
ahead and do that.
Yeah, man, for sure. So the player I see, and we'll get into the Steelers and stuff a little bit later in the show. But when you look at this future reserve list, this is very important because a team like the Chiefs need to always be looking for talent, the next man up attitude. Because if you don't have that, then they're going to struggle in the future. So if today the Chiefs sign, I think 6 or 7 different players to the future reserve deals, meaning that they won't play this year, but they have a contract in place for them coming in the next season. So my guess is they will be doing the workouts this off season and also be looking for possibly getting to training camp. So that's kind of the goal. So there's many different players. The first one is defensive tackle Darius Stills. The second player is wide receiver Matthew Sexton. The third player is DT, defensive tackle Lorenzo Neal, not the great Lorenzo Neal, another guy.
Yeah.
Another guy is running back Brendan Knox. Another person after that is wide receiver Gary Jennings.
Yes.
Second to last person is tight end Jordan Franks. And last but not least, wide receiver Omar Bayless. So when you look at this list, this is very interesting because the Chiefs have gotten players on positions of need, more specifically defensive tackle and wide receiver.
Yep.
The reason why is because we realized today in this, we'll realize kind of the season when Chris Jones is not out there, they don't have a suitable backup to help plug in the holes. Now, can the Chiefs possibly get someone in the draft? Yeah, but they seem to get players they think that could also help stop the run. Also, another position in need is wide receiver. As we see, the wide receiver crew has been kind of shaky outside of Tyreek Hill. And then, Kelsey, he's like a wide receiver tight end hybrid. So looking at this list is it's good to see that she's moving in the right direction. But JP, there is one player on this list that I've said while in quarantine back in 2020 that she should get. Who is that player, JP?
Who is that player? That would have been Omar Bayless.
Yes. I look back at the tweets. Tweets are still there, and I put them back up on the Chiefs Focus page. Omar Bayless is a wide receiver out of Arkansas State, the Sound Belt Conference. Not many people hear of that. That's one of the smaller conferences. Omar Bayless is an athletic freak. He's a tall wide receiver, and he has had many one-handed catches. He can possibly do everything you're hoping Josh Gordon could do.
Yeah.
You're looking at his tape. Now, he didn't get drafted. He was an undrafted player. He went to the Carolina Panthers, was doing good in camp, but then something happened with his knee. He was able to be fine. I think he was at Panthers this last year, but then he got cut during the middle of the season off the practice squad. Veach was able to find this guy in the reserve deals and pick him up. This was a player when I was looking to draft that the Chiefs should get because he has many different attributes to him. He's a great route runner. He can catch the deep ball. He can do a lot of things you expect Demarcus Robinson can do in many different ways. And that's no knock on D-Rob, but I think he could take his position and probably amplify the production some to that extent. Because this guy is a deep threat.
He is. And just so you know, Veach was actually looking at him during that draft.
Perfect.
They had other needs. They thought at the time that they had other needs besides wide receiver at that time. And they went pretty much, they had Clyde, they had Willie Gay, they had Lucas Nyang,
Bo Peep Keys,
Bo Peep Keys,
L'Jarius Sneed. Key pieces.
They picked up so many key pieces, and they had a full roster of wide receivers that they needed at the time. So, but knowing Veach, he knew it was going to come full circle like it always does with him. He makes it come full circle. When he wants somebody, he makes it come. He makes it happen, and he's done it. This guy, I was pretty hyped on him myself, and when you brought him to my attention, I was like, wow, this dude's phenomenal. He's got a tremendous reach, phenomenal vertical, hands like none other. Ain't afraid to hit. He's fast. everything about him I like. I mean, everything about him I like. He can fit within our system very well, and I think he's hungry and he's got the right attitude.
Mhm.
I mean, that was smart, smart on Veach's side. You know, what I love about Veach is the fact that he can, if he sees a team that drafts a player, or maybe a player that doesn't even get drafted at some point, he'll think, why did this guy get passed on? And then he goes back and he watches the film and he watches the film, and then he remembers why he wanted that player to begin with.
And man,
And
I'm telling you, JP, I don't mean to interrupt you,
no,
but this guy has a potential. If he can somehow get through all the workouts, OTAs, and get training camp in. Sorry. Can you hear me, JP?
yeah.
Sorry, my bad, man. If he can somehow get through if he can somehow get through the OTAs and training camp and all that stuff, he is really going to help us moving forward because he has potential to do certain things that the Chiefs want to do in their offense for a long time. He can potentially spread the defense. And you know how Jordy Fortson was kind of on the practice squad? I think he has Jordy Fortson-like ability, but is a better deep threat receiver.
Yeah.
From
I
the
agree.
catches I've seen.
Yeah.
And we just got a check from our writer, Charles, because I sent it to the group chat, and he was like former ASU Red Wolf, very close from where he is. Very good move by Veach. He did it again, boys. That just shows you. Veach is looking at these guys. People think of the Power 5, I'm like, yeah, the Power 5 with the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big 10, those are great. But you're going to find some hungrier guys in the Sun Belt Conference, the HBCU schools, the independents sometimes, the Bowling Greens, the Kent States. I mean, you're going to find these players all around.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to find the AAC, you're going to find these players all around.
What's that college in Wichita, that little tiny college in Wichita that I can't think of the name of it right now. It's in Wichita. It's a little tiny college, and there's a couple of NFL players that came out of that college that ended up being superstars.
Are you talking about the Indy?
What's it called?
Is it the EM? It's not. You know the Last Chance U series. Are you talking about that?
Yeah.
It's called they're called Indy. They're from Indian. Is it Indianapolis, Kansas? They're like at the down deep in the state. I'm like,
really
if you go across the border and go straight down, they're like right down there.
Yeah, they have a couple of 3 phenomenal players that came out of that school. You know,
that JUCO, and they be putting D1 players everywhere.
Yeah,
and that's where you find some of these guys, the hungriest players.
Yeah,
and Veach probably checking those, but to see the Chiefs go after someone like Omar Bayless. I mean, I'm not chewing my own horn, but I feel like I did my draft research, and to see a full circle, I mean, this might pay dividends. So.
Oh, definitely.
And it's good when you have the athletic director UCF commenting under a tweet, JP. And if you go and look under the tweet, he was talking. You look, he's there. He was talking about him. Yeah. So either he was with Arkansas State or he's seen him play, because that guy is phenomenal. He is phenomenal for sure.
Yeah, he was. I just got a text. He was definitely one that Veach was interested in, but they actually had other needs. Or let me put it this way. They saw the needs that they needed to fill specifically on defense, and they went that route. They would have picked him up, but it just didn't happen. I believe that they probably were going to pick him up, but I think, was it Carolina? I think grabbed him, right?
Yeah, Carolina picked him up.
Carolina grabbed him before the Veach had a chance to, but Veach would definitely, he knows it comes full circle at some point, and I bet you Omar probably knows it.
I put out the tweet and he liked it, and a lot of people from his college liked it too.
Yeah.
So to see it come full circle, it's like, wow, I did my research.
Yep, you did. I mean, you hammered that one, and you hammered a lot of them though. But he's just turned. I'm extremely, and I really don't have any doubt that he would make it through OTAs and get into training camp. I mean, the guy is very athletic. He's got the speed. He's got the size. He's got everything we need to fill that position that we're looking for. And he could be that deep threat that we're missing right now. Now, look, I'm not taking anything away from McCall Hardman at all, but I've heard things about other wide receivers that they may not be here next year, and this may be the person that's going to fill their shoes.
And I think we can keep
and
McCall
it's not Josh
Hardman.
Gordon, people. Believe me, it's not Josh Gordon and it's not McCall Hardman.
And I think we can keep McCall in the way what he did this last time up game, I think that's how we should be using moving forward. But when I put out the tweet, people were like, "Oh, I want Traylon Burks out of Arkansas, or I want this player." I understand you guys want them, but 2 Alabama players in the last month have torn their ACLs. Top wide receiver that were going to go in the first round. That means players like Traylon Burks will probably not be there. Players like Chris Olave will not be there when you want them. Yep. So I just tell everybody, Veach doesn't go after all these big guys from these big name schools. He will look at these smaller conferences, the Power 5 schools, the schools that aren't considered the greatest, but some have some talent. So I know people want these guys, but I'm just telling you, sometimes you can find these better players from other places.
Well, we've talked about this for years, and we've talked about this on the show numerous times. Your best talent, your almost all of your best talent comes from either the really, really high draft picks or low draft picks, 6th, 7th round, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, mainly 5th, 6th, and 7th, or undrafted guys because they're the most hungry and they're the ones that are overlooked. People they overlook them because one, they didn't go to a SEC school, or they weren't in some championship somewhere. But Veach does his homework and he brings that energy, and that's why Andy and him, they mesh so well, and they always have, because Andy knows that Veach is an extremely talented scout. He has moved up the ranks. He worked for Andy for a long time before he became a GM. And
for sure.
He started out as basically, a little assistant, to going from that to this to that to the scout to the GM. And he just knows what he's doing. And he did a great job with this, specifically Omar. Not to say that he didn't do a good job with anyone else.
I mean, these other guys you look at, they could obviously make an argument where they could help us in positions of need. So I think they can help. And go ahead.
No, that was a weird text. Sorry, guys. I think looking at the people that he just brought in, I don't know so much about the tight end situation and why he brought another tight end in, unless there's maybe something going on with Gray. But I know he's not going to get rid of Fortson, and he may just want he wants depth. Travis played hurt for most of the year and we lost Fortson. You still got Blake Bell
too.
Yeah, Blake Bell performed phenomenally, especially over the last, he's really done well all year, but he's really come on strong over these last 6-7 weeks. And you just need that depth. And if you can and that's what I love about this team. You got a guy that brings in depth, that isn't the big name guy, that doesn't want all the giant money, that isn't going to require all the giant money for the next 4 years or 3 years or 5 years or whatever it takes. Well, 3 to 4 years. And we're set. Mahomes has got his targets. He's got his protection. We're helping the defensive line. We got to back up to Chris Jones. All these things that Veach sees that we talked about on the show when we watched Chris in that game when Chris Jones had COVID and we seen what happened. We said that's the one area that they didn't have depth in. And now what did he do? He went out and got depth for that position. You're probably going to see a lot of people out there that post that it was COVID insurance. Number one, Omar Bayless is definitely not COVID insurance. There may be a couple.
He has the potential to help.
Correct. And help in a lot of ways. There may be a couple on there that may be COVID insurance, but they're futures deals. So it's not like they're going to play this year anyway.
Yeah, these are guys that are going to be after this season. So after Super Bowl, part of the workout, the OTAs, that's kind of where we're going to be seeing and hearing about them. And hopefully maybe we get to see kind of how that all works out.
Yeah.
Bearing everything that happens with them, but there's a risk for them.
Yeah, I agree. Veach just does it right. And he pulled in the right players. He pulled in every position of need that we have right now. And I think that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree, man. It just shows us kind of what we have with this team and how it can help everyone in the future moving forward. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, it'll work out. So.
I agree. I think that looking at this list, who I like, and he may be, some people may not think a whole lot of him, but I like Lorenzo Neal a
Mhm.
lot, and I do like, I like Gary Jennings. Both of
Okay.
them are good players. I don't know a whole lot about Matthew Sexton. I know Darius Stills.
I saw him. He can do some stuff for us.
Yeah,
He might be a special teams guy at first. He might be able to do some things. He
yeah,
has a good shot.
yeah. Well, I know Darius Stills. He, he had a pretty decent outing his last season, only playing 10 games, and I would, 7.5. I think he had like, uh, 25, 25 tackles for a loss, 7.5. Oh no, I'm sorry. 25 tackles, 7.5 for a loss. He didn't play. He was a rotation guy, so
Mhm.
he wasn't 100% of the snaps. Um, he just did a really good job for the limited amount of time that he played. So I can't really doubt. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't see anything wrong with it. As far as Gary Jennings Jr. goes, it's a sad situation because this is a guy that he was with the Seattle Seahawks in 19, went to Miami, was cut, went to Miami. Now, understand everybody, this is practice squad, practice squad, practice squad, practice squad. 2020 went to the Ravens. Again, 2020 went to the Bills. 2021 he was with the Colts. 2021 he was with the Raiders, which cut him when they cut everybody in August, and then he just signed with us. What this
Okay.
tells you guys is this: not everyone, like we have preached over and over and over again, not everyone fits within a certain scheme. Not everyone has the right coaching to be able to bring these guys from the college level to the NFL level, and get them up to speed quick enough to put them on a roster. We
Yeah.
have that. We have that talent in our coaching staff.
Mhm.
Mainly, to be honest with you, is Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Um, our wide receivers coach is very good, but that tells you a whole lot about how these players that get drafted, or even the ones that are, in the combine, go to the draft and then go undrafted. A lot of times it's GMs and scouts that have blinders on. And
Yeah.
when you have
You're not wrong there.
blinders on, that's why you see the Carolinas of the world and you see the Jets of the world, because all they want to see is big names, but yet it doesn't get them anywhere.
Yeah, the big
Um,
name guys aren't going to be the ones that help you at the end of
no,
the
it
day.
doesn't.
Sometimes
It
you
doesn't.
find these guys from these small round, small schools. I mean, they'll come in at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So.
And they're the hungriest guys out there. They're the guys that
Mhm.
put in the work. They played for a smaller school that didn't get a lot of recognition, and yet they're the ones that want to come into the NFL, their lifelong dream, and knowing that they weren't in a big school, they had a very slim chance. But that's the great part about, again, that's the great part about Veach, is that we have a phenomenal GM and a phenomenal head coach that will find these guys and look for them, and we eventually get them one way or another. We eventually get them, and
That's
I'm really
true.
happy with her. I mean, I don't look, out of these 7 guys, do I think every one of them is going to stay? Probably not. But I would tell you that probably a minimum of 3 will. Um,
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
yeah, I think Omar's going to be a good. Well, I really don't have any doubts in him. I actually think that Gary might be a good option.
Mhm.
And I think Lorenzo Neal might be another one that may end up sticking around. I think that Darius Stills might be good, but I have a feeling I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling that Lorenzo Neal may have a little slight edge on him. But it
Okay.
just depends on competition when they get into the OTAs and get into everything, and that's
Yeah,
when,
that's how it works.
yeah, that's when you see the truth behind it. But this is a great, I mean, 7 guys in one day. That's strong. Um, that's very strong, actually, especially when we're getting ready to go. You see that normally with teams that are out of the playoffs that don't have anything else to do. They'll go out and pick up a bunch of futures, or they'll do something, but they,
Mhm.
they're making they're deciding on who they want to cut. See, this is the great part about, another thing about our organization. They already know, they're already 3 steps ahead on their plans.
Yeah, you got to be, especially when you have a team like this.
Yeah.
You have to be.
So when you're the premier team in the league or one of the premier teams in the league, and you're the team that everybody wants to beat, you got to be 3 steps ahead of everyone else, and that's what Veach and Andy are.
Exactly.
They're 3 steps of everybody else. Hey, and then give it up to Donovan and Clark Hunt for bringing these, bringing in Veach and bringing in Andy and having
Yeah.
everything that we've got. I mean,
Mhm.
thank God to those. Thank you, Clark Hunt. Thank you.
Exactly.
What else to say? I mean,
he let them do their job, and we see owners who won't let their players do jobs.
yeah. I mean, when you let a guy free, especially a guy that has talent, and you let them free as a coach, and then your coach sees that, usually what your coach will do, as long as he doesn't have an ego, um, he will allow the players that have the talent to do their job, especially quarterbacks. Go out there, do your thing. We've seen where Mahomes was hampered this year, and we've seen where Andy took over and he was set free. It was like, take the chains off, take the shackles off, just let me do my job. And he was able to do his job. I'll be happy when, I'll be honest with you. I love the fact that we're still playing. I really do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we got more, hopefully 5 more games left in us. But I'll be happy when next year comes. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And there's only a couple of reasons why. There's really only it's really not from a player standpoint. It's from other standpoints. It's from a coaching standpoint. I'll be happy when next year comes because things are going to change tremendously. And
For sure.
when they do, it's just going to be a boost to everything that we do. We're going to bring the best out of every player that we can possibly get. And we're not going to drag them down. We're not going to put handcuffs on them. We're not going to, stop them from doing what they're best at. We're not going to have an ego that makes them sit or whatever the case may be. There's just going to be changes to the staff that in a positive way. And that makes me very happy. There were some changes made a year ago and a year and a half ago and 4 years ago that now have not worked out. And it's just time to move on from those changes. So I'm glad it's happening, and I'm looking forward to the future too, as much as I am to this week coming up and the week following that and the week following that. I'm looking forward to next year because it's going to be a phenomenal year for the Chiefs. And we got a tough ass schedule next year. So Veach
for sure. That thing is, you
that's
gotta be
brutal.
prepared.
That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably going to be probably the toughest. When you go to strength of schedule, if that's not number one, I don't know what is, because that's going to be a tough schedule.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you look at it. Yeah, there's a couple of teams in there that we have to play that are weak because they're in our division. We don't know how they're going to turn out next year, but regardless, right now they look weak. But it's any given Sunday. You don't know who you're playing. So we found that out. So we found that out with Denver. They gave us their all. They gave us every bit of it. That was their Super Bowl. They tried their best. Drew Lock had a good game. I'm not going to take that away from him. Granted, and I'm going to say it again, if Thornhill would have been in his position and Sorensen would have been where he was supposed to be prior to the Cincinnati game,
and
I don't think they would have scored 6 points. But again, that's not for us to do anything. We've seen it happen. We know it's true. That's all up to Spags now. That's up to Spags and Andy to make those changes. Thornhill needs to be back out on the field. I'm not going to say it again. If anybody disagrees, then you don't understand football. He made a difference. Melvin Ingram made a difference. We've got to bring him back. We don't have a choice. That guy is a beast.
Yeah, we have to.
I mean, there's so many players that we have on our team that have so much hidden talent that haven't been utilized yet. You got your, again, Thornhill, that we know how great he is, but again, he was handcuffed for the majority of the season. You got Armani Watts, another great player. Dorian O'Daniel, another great player. He's too small. Bullcrap. He's not too small. He hits like a friggin' Mack truck. He doesn't care about anything. He goes out there and he plays the game. He's good at what he does. He spies well. He's a great player. I don't know why they don't have him in the lineup, but I keep hearing from everybody, all in my contacts, they think he's too small. So I mean, he's proven he's not, but again, some people love the depth chart. I mean, it is what it is. Some people are stuck on that. It seems to be that the older generation of coaches live on that depth chart thing. Some, I'll put it that way. And then others look at it like, okay, well, we paid this guy this amount of money. We got to play him. That's not necessarily true, because you can play him all day long, but if they're not getting anywhere, it's not going to make you any more money at the end of the season. All you're doing is paying some guy out to kick your ass out of the playoffs. So, and your money's made in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, just like it is in the regular season. So, if not more. So that's the part that I think annoys me a little bit, but I think it'll all work out in the end. I mean, this was a step in the right direction for sure.
Oh,
and,
for sure, man.
I mean, I love Omar. I mean, I think that was a great signing. You hit the nail on the head with that one last year. And when you showed him to me, I was like, damn, that dude, he is a beast. And
I do my research. That's why this draft this year, I have a feeling I plan to nail some of the picks again or try getting the atmosphere. So
Yep. Well, that's coming. After the season ends, we'll put everything on the draft page. Or start putting everything that Caleb's done on the draft page on the website, so you guys will get to see that as well.
And the thing is, it's very difficult to do a pre-Super Bowl because they don't put every single player that's out. Exactly. So it's kind of, you have to do some work. You're looking at a lot of those guys from those bigger conferences, but you can find some of the smaller guys, but it is kind of difficult in certain instances.
Correct. Well, now that we got some phenomenal stuff there out of the way, what do you think we should do about talking about this game coming up? When's that game? Is that Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday, 7:15.
7:15. What do you think? What's your opinion?
I see a lot of Chiefs fans on Twitter already claiming the victory. That's a problem.
Yeah.
If you want to claim the victory, you need to put in the work. And those fans aren't on the ones on the field. Those players are the ones that are going to have to cash the checks that these fans are trying to pay. Yeah. And what I'm seeing in this sense is that the Chiefs can beat the Steelers, yes. But the Steelers team has a chance to beat you. If the offense is on sync and your run defense can't stop Najee Harris, you can call it a day. Big Ben cannot throw. JP, you and I watched that game. We saw it. Yeah. Big Ben, it took everything he had in order to win that game against the Ravens.
Yeah.
It took everything he had. The Chiefs need to have a good week of practice. Wednesday all the way to Saturday, they need to practice, watch film, pay attention to detail. Because if you want to win this game, you need to come out guns and blazing like you guys did the first time around, bear them early, rest the stars for the next week.
Yep.
The Chiefs could potentially blow through this team if they do everything they're supposed to. But it's going to be the playoffs. The Steelers are going to be playing for Big Ben. We already know the media. We haven't really heard it yet, but there's a good chance we could be hearing starting tomorrow. Oh, Big Ben, he's going to beat the Chiefs. Well, you know what? It is what it is. But you need to.
I'm surprised Clark hasn't put that out
yet. He probably, knowing him, he'll crazy self. He probably put something there too.
Yeah.
I mean, but this team, though, man, they have the chance. The last time we played them, they beat them 36-10. They can replicate that score again this time around if they do everything they're supposed to. Dial in. Lock in, be prepared, beat this team early, and yes, and you cannot be conservative. Go ahead and bury them. Get out of vanilla offense mindset if you want to win. The last time the Chiefs played the Steelers in the Super Bowl, we lost 18-16. 6 field goals by the Steelers, and Alex Smith cannot really move the ball, and we lost the game. He missed a wide open Tyreek Hill. Yeah, who really busted open. The cover 2 blanket was wide open for a touchdown. Didn't even throw the ball to him.
Yep.
We need to make the plays this time around. The defense needs to hold them to field goals or no scores. We need defensive stops, and we need the offense to execute. If they can't execute, the Chiefs will go home. And this season will be for a waste because you're wasting a year of Mahomes' career.
They already wasted half of this year anyway. So, I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
They wasted 6 games.
They will turn around.
They did, but it just, it's irritating that went down the way it did. But regardless, you're right. I mean, here's the thing. You got to have the right players on the field. You know what works. You know what worked to bring us from dead last to 10th and 6th in scoring. Why in the hell would you ever go backwards? It made 0 sense. You went from 6, 9 points, 13 points, 14 points a game allowed to 28. I think it was it 28 to the Chargers? Yeah. And
think
then
so.
34 to the Bengals after the Steelers game,
Hmm.
right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to allow a certain couple of players to be out of position or out of their element and not put the players in that helped you get and solidify your 10th overall defense and your 6th in points allowed, then that's on you, Spags. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah. If they lose this game due to defense adjustments, I'm calling for Spags' job, and I was saying we need to bring in someone else, because if
Bring
he doesn't
Fangio
make,
in. He's a damn good defensive
shoot, you might
coordinator.
as well at this point. And
Yeah.
not just saying if Spags does not make the adjustments, that Thornhill still plays the position, because we're going to be playing against some studs. They need to have the right guys and right formation, and we pray to God and hope. Sorensen is a rover, not a safety. We pray that Armani Watts can get on the field and Dorian O'Daniel will get a shot, because you got some players that can do some stuff. But
Yeah.
it's on the defensive coaching staff. It's on them at this point.
Yeah. We just got a comment on our last article that we put out, and it said, unfortunately, we don't know how many plays Watt will have until the game is over. The Chiefs will just have to play their game plan and not wonder how many plays Watts has. Well, let me tell you something. To a degree, you're right, but to another degree, you're there. Everything that Watt does is detrimental to a football team. So if he's out there and he's healthy, he's a destructor. And
yeah, he's going to cause chaos wherever he's at.
Everywhere he goes.
You need to be prepared for all scenarios. You got to
be prepared for that guy. And I'm not saying that we don't have the offensive line to be able to handle it, but they got to be able to handle it. TJ Watt is an absolute animal. And when he's healthy and he's 100%, he's how his brother was 8 years ago. So, never, one player can we've seen it with our own eyes with our team. One player can make or break. One or two players can actually make or break your team. We watched it when Chris Jones wasn't in the game. Our run defense sucked. We watched it when Thornhill's not in the game. We see what happens to our secondary. So it does make a difference if he's out there, if he's out there 80% of the time versus 95% of the time, that 15% is huge, because it could be in a certain time, a certain moment in the game, a certain tick on the clock that can bury us, especially if it's a close game. So I agree, but then I disagree, because I think that is going to make a huge difference. Do we have to go out and play our game and do it the right way? Hell yes. No doubt. I have no arguments about that, but he does make a difference, and we have to be prepared that if he's going to be out there, even if it's 90% of the snaps, we have to make sure that we're prepared for that and we're able to handle him.
That's true.
So, but I appreciate the fact that they left the reply. I mean, that's nice. It's good to have, but
yeah, we're starting getting on our website. On articles. We're starting to get a couple of replies every single article. So keep it up, guys. We appreciate it.
Keep it up. We really appreciate it. We love all the feedback we can get. So, but I think Ben, what people are underestimating is that Ben has a lot of playoff experience.
He does.
And so does Tomlin. So don't expect them to come in and roll over for us. This is the second season. There's no team other than maybe the Raiders that is going to roll over in the playoffs. The only reason I say that is because they have an interim head coach and a quarterback that's never won a playoff game. Mm-hmm. So has he even been to the playoffs? He went, but he was hurt and he didn't play, right? Derek Carr.
Who is this?
Derek Carr.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think this might be his first playoff game.
It is. I think it is.
I think it is.
I'm pretty positive it is. So if anybody's going to be a little easier to play, I would have to say the Raiders maybe. But everybody, well, and maybe the Bengals, because the Bengals don't have any playoff experience. Burrow doesn't have any. In fact, I don't think anybody on their team has any playoff experience. and I don't think I'm pretty positive their head coach doesn't. So those two teams right there, we might be easier than the Steelers.
Yeah,
Just
it's
because of
possible.
experience alone.
But
Experience makes a huge difference.
I would not be surprised, and I know people may think I'm crazy. I'm just saying I would not be surprised if the Raiders win a couple games, pushing through towards the AFC Championship game. And the Chiefs, if they were to handle business against the Steelers and then handle business against, say, the next team they face, that could be the Patriots or could be the Bengals or could be the Bills, they face the Raiders. Now, the Chiefs need to take care of business, but the way the Raiders have been playing, they have a shot. I'm just being honest with you, JP, and I could be crazy, but there's usually that one Cinderella team that goes through. The year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, it ended up being the Titans. There really wasn't one this last year. It was just the Chiefs and the Bills. Everyone's kind of predicting that anyway. But the Raiders have a chance. I could be wrong, but I want to be surprised.
Hey,
somehow catch fire.
Yeah, and look, you could easily say that the Titans and the Bengals could be a one and done in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure.
So
no. Yeah, there's no playoff experience in the Titans. I mean, the Titans, yes, but the Bengals, they don't have any.
None. And what the Titans do have is minimal to a degree. And a lot of their players are injured, and there's just a lot of moving pieces to that. And they've been up and down all year long. But you just don't know. I mean, they didn't want to face us in the playoffs. I know the Raiders. In fact, I talked to a media guy today that he said he didn't want to face the Raiders didn't want to face us in the playoffs. They actually admitted that part. So for that,
and you saw that one of Yaganik, Noku Yaganik. You know what I'm talking about? I can't pronounce his name. Sorry, guys. But he got in trouble for a DUI crash that he said today. So it's like, okay, we'll see what happens with the Raiders. So
that's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 now this year alone.
They having some problems over there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I said
I don't know what they're going to do.
When they said they were bringing him here, I said, this is a huge mistake. Everybody said, why? It's so much revenue. It's this, it's that. I said, 3 things are going to happen. And I can bring up all these people on the show and they'll tell you I said it. I said, first of all, you're going to have a bunch of kids with a bunch of money that came from nothing in a city that never sleeps and has nothing but problems anyway. That's not a good mix. I said, number 2, you're going to bring a bad element into Las Vegas that already is trying to keep out the bad element. That's already happened. The crime rates jumped by 50%. Third thing is that the ticket prices are going to be so freaking high that nobody's going to be able to afford to go to the game. And they're going to be missing their house payment to go to a Raiders game. The lowest price ticket at Legion Stadium, and I'm talking about basically sitting on the roof, is $400.
Yeah, I'm not going there unless I get free tickets.
$400.
And it's the Chiefs game.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to one this year with the Chiefs, and the only reason I didn't go is because my press guy that I was going with got sick. I mean, I had a press pass to go with him, and he didn't end up going, or I would have. I'm not paying that. I mean, there's no way in hell I'd pay for that. Their mid-level tickets are like $600 to $700, and then when you get down close to the field, you're talking $1,800, $2,000. One guy said he bought 3 tickets, nosebleed section, could barely see. It was $1,600, and he had a horrible time because
I would like to comfortably watch the games from my couch at home. That's what I plan to do.
I'm very happy with that as well. I mean, if it was a Chiefs difference, that's a different story. I mean, I'd probably sell my kidney, but if I had to pay for a ticket, but when it comes to them, I mean, I would love to have gone to that game, and I had a chance to, but again, fell through just because of, actually, weirdly enough, he ended up COVID, but I would never pay to go to a Raiders game. If I was a fan, I wouldn't pay to go. They said they're the highest priced ticket in the NFL.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which is pretty crazy given the fact that they're the most hated team in the NFL. So it's weird. And they're not very much liked here other than the people that just moved here. There's not like a bunch of Raiders fans that lived here prior to them coming here. I've been here for a while, so you had Denver fans, you had KC fans, minimal until Mahomes
You
got
got all
there.
fans from every place here.
Everywhere, San Francisco, you had New York fans, you had because everybody comes here. You Chicago fans, so now all of a sudden all you see is Raiders shit all over the place, and it does get a little old. You can't walk into a gas station without seeing it. You can't walk into a grocery store without seeing it. There's a sign on the highway. There's a sign here. There's a sign there. I mean, it gets tiring to see it. And then when I drive by that Dust Bowl, I just get kind of disgusted. But it is what it is. It's it's the Raiders, so there's never going to be a love for them. As much as I'll respect certain players and what they've done, I won't respect. I don't have any respect for that team, and that goes back to their dad. The main guy.
Well, yeah, you've seen it all.
I've seen a lot of that. So anyway, we got a game. I mean, it's going to be for all you guys out there that think this is going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a cakewalk.
It's going to be a tough game.
It is. It's a
going to
playoff
be
game
tough.
against an experienced team, an experienced coaching staff, an experienced quarterback that knows the playoffs. And they've already played us once. Remember this, guys. They've played us once, so they already kind of know some of our tendencies. So you got to remember that as well. Teams that play you know your tendencies, and then they try to adjust for those normal teams, not teams that decide that they don't want to adjust for any reason whatsoever. Certain defensive coordinators, but there's no team in the playoffs right now, in the AFC anyway, other than I will say it again, other than Cincinnati and other than the Raiders, that have really no experience in it. And that's what you have to watch out for. The Steelers have experience. I'm less worried about the Raiders or the Bengals than I am the Steelers. I'm more worried about that game.
I'm confident every team we lost to, we can run it back and beat them. I'm very confident.
Yeah.
And when it comes to any team we face now in the AFC, I feel like we can beat them too. But Chiefs need to execute, plan well, plan accordingly, and continue to push through. If you don't do that, then you can just call it a waste of season.
Yeah.
This team should win this game. On paper, they should, but they got to keep doing what they're supposed to. And I think they have a really, really, really great chance of doing that.
Yeah, I do.
You've got Patrick Mahomes. Can throw the ball so many different ways. He realized sometimes you can't just take the home run ball, throw in the flat. McCall Hardman can be used in an extra way. No one has thought of to use him out of the backfield as a running back. Put him in the wildcat.
Well, we thought about it. We talked about it like 5 times.
Yeah.
But, they just started using him like that. But
or what I've been calling for is letting him be next to Mahomes' wide receiver. Take running back. Take runs out of the backfield, or have him do like a shriek up the sidelines or past the DBs. He can DB is that he's faster than them. So I mean, just kind of shows what can happen. I mean, there's many different factors.
Yeah, we just have to go in there with the right mindset, and every player that has shown what they can do to get us to the point where we were at during that period, that 7-week stretch where we weren't allowing any points. That's who needs to be on the field. There can't be any more of this. Well, he did okay in that position, so let's put him back and see what he does. Bullshit. We can't do that. We have to have the guys.
No. This is the playoffs, man. You gotta stick to your bread and butter, unless they're trying to confuse teams, which I'd not be surprised.
And
if
I
someone
said
does
that. I thought they may be doing that. I mean, but if that's the case, great. If that's what they're doing, fantastic for them. If they're trying to confuse people and they're successful at it, hey, I'm not going to argue about it. That's great. I mean, Andy's kind of like that. He's a guru, and he does things like that. And he probably told Spags, hey, throw some people off. If we lose one, we lose one. If we don't, we don't. And it may have happened that way. I don't know. I've tried to get some insight into why they did what they did in that Cincinnati game, and I got basically the same answers that they gave on the presser, which normally I get more information than that, as you know, but they just said they're not talking about it. They don't want to talk about it. And
that'll be some questions, especially if they lose. We'll get some answers.
Oh yeah.
We will be getting some answers. I guarantee.
Well, I've already asked a couple people to ask some questions on Thursday, so we'll see what happens with those. Because I got a guy that's going to ask what the hell's going on with Thornhill and why is he not on the field. So let's see how that gets answered. I'll put it that way.
Not even come until everything's all said and done. So
yeah,
but How far do you think the Chiefs could? So what are your? I know this is kind of early, but they're going to be starting practice tomorrow. But what is your early prediction to this game? Because they haven't practiced yet. What's your early prediction?
Uh, it's hard because
And why?
okay, well, I would probably have two predictions. My first prediction would be if Thornhill's back in the game, Sorensen's back in the middle, they go back to what they did for that 7-week stretch, then I would say this is probably going to be a 31-21 game.
31-21? Okay.
Yeah, because it is the playoffs and Ben's not going to go down without a fight.
Mhm.
If they stick to what
Okay.
they just did, if we win, it's going to be a 3-point game.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean,
I go ahead.
I just think that as long as they continue to do what they just did in those last 2 games, it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome, because when Thornhill's on the field or when he's not on the field, Matthew doesn't play as well. Gay
Mhm.
doesn't play as well. We've seen it. We've watched it happen.
Mhm.
So even the corners don't play as well. So you got to make sure. I mean, Mike Hughes was playing out of his shoes when Thornhill was on the field. Then, if you noticed, the last 2 games, well, even in the Denver game, he got burned.
Yeah, the chemistry was off.
The chemistry's off. When you throw the chemistry off like that, and you know that there's no chemistry with those players, those certain players that you put in those positions. Why go backwards? Keep the chemistry going, keep the continuity going, and build higher for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion. But again, I'm not a coach. I've been around it enough to know, but I'm not today's coach, and I wasn't a yesteryear's coach. I was just there, listening and watching, and I know that the one thing that Marty used to preach all the time was continuity. I know Andy always preaches continuity. I watched, even Dick Vermeil. He used to preach all the time. If you guys don't get along, and I know everybody had their opinion of Dick Vermeil. He was a very emotional guy. The guy would cry when the wind blew. If it started to rain, he was crying. If a pigeon lost a feather, oh my God, he'd want to pick him up and take him to a hospital somewhere. That was just Dick Vermeil. He's a very soft-hearted guy. It is what it is. The only time I had never seen him soft-hearted was with Larry Johnson. He was very adamant about Larry, and you know what? As long as I've known Larry, and I hung around with him, and I tried to help him, I understand why Dick Vermeil was adamant about not signing him. Yes, he still holds the rushing record for the Chiefs, but that's all he holds. That's it. He got us nowhere else but a lot of turmoil, a lot of headaches, and a lot of bad negative press. And that's not what you need. You need guys with good press, good abilities, continuity. Everybody gets along, offensively, defensively, special teams, and you're going to get a lot further.
Mhm.
It is what it is. I mean, it's just how it is. When Marty used to preach that stuff, and that's back in the day, like I said, Christian and I talked about it on Spaces. Offense and defense have hated each other. They hated each other. I never understood it when I first got out on the field. I asked Derek, I said, what the hell? Why you guys don't like each other? He said, we're 2 different teams until we're on the field. I mean, I watched fist fights. I watched they cuss each other out, slam each other down, ripped each other's helmets off. I'm like, damn, man, these guys, they play for the same team. But it wasn't like that. They were playing against each other in practice. And it's not like that with moving forward into like the later years, when you got into like the Dick Vermeil era, even you didn't see. You saw a couple, especially when he brought a couple guys in from other teams that were notoriously angry, if you want to put it that way. You would see a couple of guys that would lose their minds here and there, but we really didn't have an issue until Larry Johnson came. That's when we started having some more problems. So we just need to make sure that the continuity is on the field. That's the point behind all of this. Continuity it brings you a lot of places, and it takes you a lot further than you can see what it's done to this team. I mean, you've seen what it did it to the first half of the season, And now you're seeing it again in these last 2 games. We can't have that
Mhm.
going into the playoffs. We just
Yeah,
can't.
you
Or
gotta.
we're a one and done team.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
Everyone's records reset. Everyone's 0-0. Either you win, you're moving on. If you lose, you're done. That's just how it rolls.
That's it. So that's the difference between now. There's no living for another day. When you lose in the playoffs, you're living for another year. And you can't have players out there that don't have chemistry. And I'm sorry, but Sorensen in that position starting doesn't put the right chemistry off for the rest of the players.
And we can't get mad at Sorensen. We have to get mad at Spags and whoever's those coaches.
Well, I
and
can get
Andy
a little
too,
mad
because
at
he's letting it
Sorensen.
happen.
But I could get a little mad at Sorensen because if I was Sorensen and I really cared about my football team and I knew I was the one that was screwing everything up, I would go to Spags and say, "Hey, I'm screwing everything up. Put me back where I was and put Thornhill back out on the field." Because if you really cared about your team, especially 9 years into the league, or 8 years or whatever it is, 8 or 9 years, you think you would have a little bit more sense than that. But he's all about him.
You saying Sorensen?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, man.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
I understand everybody wants to play, and I understand everybody wants their highlight reels. He's had his highlight reels. Okay, he does great when he's in a certain position. He should know that. He should know that by now, and it worked so well those 7 weeks with him being out of that spot, and Thornhill where he belonged. So I could get a little mad at him because I think he should go up to the coach, especially after last week. He should go up to the coach and say, "You know what? I just can't do this. I can't play this position. I'm not fast enough. I don't react correctly. And Thornhill's better at it. Put him out there. Everybody seems to play better when he's out there. He could man up and actually
I remember the Titans move.
Yeah. I mean, he could actually go and do that. I mean, man up and just say, "I can't do this. I'm better in the middle. Put me in that spy rover position. Put me in that A gap position."
Yeah.
But
no, I hear you.
I get the whole ego thing, but the ego is not going to get you anywhere if your ass is sitting while everybody else is still in the playoffs. So that's just my opinion.
I hear you.
And I'm a competitive person, dude. I came from a competitive background playing baseball. I was always the one that I wanted to start. I wanted to finish. I wanted to throw 120 pitches or a minute or less if I could. I wanted to be that guy. And I was taught that, by a very smart individual, that if you humble yourself down very early, you'll last a lot longer. And I did. And it helped me until I got injured. But I'll tell you this, I don't know where I'd be without that guy. I don't even know if I'd have lasted as long as I did. So, because I was that hungry, competitive guy that wanted to be out there every second, I just learned that I had a guy that taught me that's not how you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
So
I hear you. But it just shows you, man. I think the Chiefs, I hope they make the right moves, but the Chiefs should win this game. One factor is that they need to, and they really, 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 really need to stop Najee Harris. You can't let him run for over 100 yards on you or this game is over.
Yeah.
You can't.
Nope.
It's going to be over if you let him do that.
Yeah, because you put Ben in those short yardage positions, he's going to rip you apart.
He'll just nickel and dime you. And the issue and they have the senses, though, is like Big Ben his arm is just not that good. If you watch that last game, he was I don't know how bad his arm is. Like when you I don't know how terrible it is, but to see those throws, you're like, that's not good.
I can tell you this.
And the Chiefs need to take advantage of that, huh?
I can tell you this much, and I don't mean to interrupt you. When I see him throw the ball, it reminds me of after I got injured and when I threw the ball and what it felt like when I tried to put power into it. There's I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a tingling and a burning that goes through your arm. And when you warm up a little bit, it tends to go away for a little while. When it's really cold or it's rainy, it doesn't go away. And I feel like that's what Ben is experiencing right now. I feel like
he probably is
pain every time he tries to go deep. And he probably feels it in his wrist too, but I bet it's more up in his upper arm and shoulders where he's feeling it the most. And that's where I felt it the most. I could tell you. and I used my
Mhm.
body to throw. I didn't use my arm as much as I used my body when I pitched.
Mhm.
So it's just different, man. It's a pain that when you throw it, you cringe, and you don't
Mhm.
want to
I
show it.
I
But
hear you.
yeah, you don't want to show that, but it's a burn, and it burns for a while afterwards. That's the crazy part. When you're done,
Mhm.
you feel that burn for 2-3 days. It doesn't go
Mhm.
away like because you stopped. It burns for 2-3 days. That tingling is there for 2 or 3 days.
Mm.
So I can almost see that in the way he's throwing the ball. And it sucks. I mean, he's 40 and he's taken a lot of punishment over his career.
Yes. A
He's
lot
thrown
of
a
injuries.
man. I mean, the injuries have been phenomenal and um, more than most quarterbacks take. And he lasted through it a long time. I mean, that was his 18th season.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, more, hats off to the guy. And for everybody out there, I do want to say this because it kind of annoyed me a little bit. I put a tweet out on the focus page about Ben. You know, no matter what people thought about him, he's had a phenomenal career. He's done a lot of things that a lot of quarterbacks couldn't do, and he lasted a very long time. Regardless of his past, he's made amends and he's moved forward. And people, oh, forget him. He's a rapist. He's this. He's that. Look, the guy admitted to his issues, and he went and got help for him. And he turned to God. He turned to his family. He looks at his kids every day and says, I can't do that to my kids. And he's been doing a very good job and he's turned his life around for I don't know how many years now. And this is stuff that, you're talking about stuff 12, 15 years ago, and they're still bringing it up. And there was never really a proven case of him raping anyway. He wasn't convicted. Who knows what that girl was doing in the Reno? Who knows what the girl was doing anywhere else for that matter? But he admitted that he had a sex issue and he had, well, he actually, what he admitted was he had a pornography issue and he had an alcohol issue. He went to rehab for both of them and he's been doing very well since. So give the guy a little bit of a break. Everybody deserves a second chance. He didn't kill anyone. And I know this may not be the best for everybody to hear and they may not like what I'm saying, but I think that he's doing the best he can possibly do to keep his life on track. He's got a good family and a good support system, and he's done a very good job of keeping himself on the straight and narrow for a long time. So I just want to put that out there because I think everybody deserves, to a degree, everybody deserves a chance and a second chance, and I think he's one of them. So he produced for a long time in the NFL, and he's done a really good job with his wife and kids, as far as anybody can tell. So with that being said, that's all I want to say about Ben. So watch him in the playoffs because the guy he knows the playoffs and he knows our team. He watched us this last. We just kicked the shit out of him. He's not going to come and lay down again.
Oh yeah, he's gonna come in and try to fight every
Yeah,
single chance he can get.
exactly. So anyway, what's your early predictions for this game?
I'm gonna say 27-17. I think the Chiefs can win by that much.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be probably another. I think they're fair by 13. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer 10. I think 10 is probably the highest they can win by in these situations. That's what I think. So
Okay. Okay. Well, the one thing that we got going for us is a lot of playoff experience, and we got a great head coach and a quarterback that what's he won one? He's lost one playoff game.
yeah, just one. No,
Yeah.
no, two. He's lost two
Which two?
against the Tom Brady both times in the AC Championship game, and then against the Bucks.
He only lost once to Brady in 18.
No, he lost in 18, and then he also lost in last year in the Super Bowl.
Well, okay, so that's twice.
Two
I guess
losses.
I guess you consider a Super Bowl a playoff game. I was thinking just
Mm-hmm.
straight playoffs, but even at that, I mean, you're looking at a guy that really has taken us to the AFC Championship 3 straight years.
Yeah,
AFC,
3 straight
yeah.
years.
So this is just another notch on his belt of accomplishments if he can um, go on the road and win 4 straight times, and then
Mhm.
or 5 or whatever you want to call it. But if he does it, more power to him. I hope he does. I
Mhm.
hope the whole team does. It's not just a one-man show. So I hope the whole team goes out there and plays hard for everyone. And I think if they got the right people on the field and the coaching staff gets their head out of their ass, everybody will be able to do what they're supposed to do.
Mhm.
So they all love Big Red, that's for sure.
That is true.
And
They do.
that's who they played for the last time and the time before that. And hopefully that's who they play for again this time.
Mm.
This is a revenge. I know a lot of these guys are looking for revenge in these playoffs. And they're looking
Yeah.
for revenge in the Super Bowl. And whether it be the Bucks, which I don't think it's going to be, or if it's going to be the Rams, or if it's going to be Green Bay. I tend to think it's going to be Green Bay. I just do. I don't think there would be a better rated Super Bowl than to have Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes head
Mhm.
to head in a Super Bowl. Do you?
Um, I think that's probably the best possible scenario that the Chiefs can. Sorry, the NFL wants. Now, will the Chiefs win? I mean, I don't know. The defense is going to have to make some stops. They will have to make some next level stops. So there's a lot of things that are going to have to happen there. But other than that, I think there's a really good chance that that could be the potential Super Bowl moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've done a really good job in the playoffs to this point, and with the exception of that Cincinnati loss, that's the first loss they've had past, when they went on their win streak past, what's it, week 7 or I guess or whatever it is,
Yeah, week 6, I think.
week
Yeah. No, yeah,
6,
week 7. Yeah,
week
they were
7.
3-4.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's when they haven't lost a game. They basically won out 19 all the way through 20 and then lost in the Super Bowl. But uh, they have a pretty good track record
Mm-hmm.
after week 7, so and they have a really good track record in the playoffs. So let's just see if it just continues. Let's hope it does. Let's make these adjustments and put the right people on the field. That's the main goal.
Exactly.
But what else you got, brother?
I think that's pretty much it. Unless what's a matchup you're looking for in this game?
As far as player to player,
Yeah, what's one player that if that we need? What's one player that we know if they will do everything they're supposed to, the Chiefs can win?
sorry, I just got word my other employees got COVID now.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Sorry. Can you repeat that to me one more time?
What's one player that if they what's one player that if for the Chiefs that they play and do everything they're supposed to, the Chiefs will win?
If they play them,
What's one player that what's one player that they do everything they're supposed to, the Chiefs will win?
I mean, the obvious is Mahomes, but I can't say him because it's really not on him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really defensively, and I really
Okay.
want to say that if you're going to look, the defensive line has to hold up very well, which they have been
Mm-hmm.
doing a really good job of. But I'm going to say if he's in the game, which I'm hoping he's not starting, it's going to have to be Daniel Sorensen. I mean, I'm sorry, but if he's in that game and he's starting and they give him 90 or 100% of the snaps, if he's not dead on with everything he does, he
Mm-hmm.
can cost us a game. He's done it. So if you're talking about an individual player that can cost us a game, I think it could be him. If that's what
Okay.
you're getting at.
Okay. I got you. The player I think in this situation, if Frank Clark, he needs to have one of those magical type of playoff postseason games that he had back in the year one, the Super Bowl. What 4 sacks in 3 games? Every time he got a sack, it was timely. Many pressures in the backfield. I mean, we need someone like him to really step out on the defensive side of the ball because if they get it shot and start doing some stuff, it's gonna be a long day for opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, Frank Clark's going to have to definitely step up. If a player, as far as a step up player, I mean, again, I think if they would just switch it back out and put Thornhill back in the game, the entire defense is going to change. It just is. I
That
know
is true. That is very true.
People don't want to believe it, but with our team, a single player has proven that he can change the outcome of how our defense performs. And it's strange because he affects the way Matthew performs. He affects the way Willie performs. He affects the way even Nick Bolton. Well, not Nick Bolton. He just plays, but he affects a lot of different players in the way they position themselves because they're overcompensating for him. If you see what I'm getting at, they're more worried about if he's going to miss a tackle or whiff something or just completely miss the play altogether, be out of position.
Mhm.
So they're more concerned with covering him than covering their own guy on their assignment. And when you're doing
Mhm.
that, it throws everything off. You know, it was no
I
different
got
than
you.
when we had when we didn't have Melvin Ingram.
Hmm.
You know, our defensive line wasn't completely sheared up, and the secondary fell off their game because they were jumping off assignments to make up for what the defensive line was missing. It's no different than when Sorensen's in the game and he's playing in that position in that starting
I got
role.
you.
It's no different. So they're going to have to make up their minds and just do the right thing before we end up losing Thornhill. One, you know, that's the sad part is I hope he does. You know,
Mhm.
I hope it doesn't come to that point where he doesn't want to come back. Um,
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's all going to work out in the end. This game, and we'll have more to say on Thursday when we see the injury report. But the Chiefs have a really good chance of winning this game. They just got to execute, and that's one thing. If you don't execute, you're going to lose this game. And you've been part of it, JP. You've seen many of those Chiefs teams lose when they should have won. I mean, you've seen many examples where you had, well, it was a Colts one year. The Chiefs were supposed to beat them. They lost.
yeah,
Um,
the Buffalo
the
Bills
Chiefs were
was the
supposed to
first one.
could have beat the Bills in the '93 AFC Championship game. I mean, you tell me
Yep,
about that one all the time. So
yep,
there's many different things we can see. But what I think is going to happen at the end of the day, the Chiefs will win. But there's going to be a lot of different things that are going to have to happen for that in order to be true. And the thing is, you win this game, you got another enemy you have to fight next week. I mean, it's just kind of is what it is when you're looking at everything at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah. I think uh, we just have to. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be in that position again. I don't want to
Mm,
have that feeling anymore. I don't feel like I did back in, you know, the 90s when I knew that, and even in the 2000s when we get to a certain point and then it was like, bleh, you know,
mm-hmm,
that one and done in the playoff type of situation. I still don't feel that way. I feel like we have the players right now that can overcome that. And I think we have the coaching staff that can overcome that.
mm-hmm,
And I still have a lot of confidence in this team. The
mm-hmm.
only thing I don't have confidence in is one coach, and I don't have any confidence in Daniel Sorensen starting. So if that other coach that coaches him, Spags, can get off the depth chart mindset, get over the
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Sorensen love affair, and put Thornhill back in the game, I think it's going to change a lot.
I
But
got you.
there's a love affair going on there, a bromance that I can't explain. Um, I've asked, and all I hear is that he's got a lot of confidence in him. Well, that's freaking fantastic when he loses, when he costs us games. That's great. How much confidence can you have in somebody? I mean, it's like I don't even know how to put an analogy to that. I mean, how do you have a confidence in someone that continually shows you that they can't play that position? How do you have that confidence in them?
That's a very good question, man, and that's something we'll have to see. I mean, we'll end up seeing. Is it frustrating? Yeah. I mean, there's really um, it's just like there's really nothing we can do, unfortunately. But just I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It makes no sense to me. But maybe my hope is they're throwing teams off. Looking for in the future. I mean, maybe Sorensen may not be here, but there also could be some other guys
I heard
that could
he
replace.
may
So,
retire. So
well, I mean, if that's what he wants to do, that's fine by me. He's done a lot, but there's certain players are in certain positions for a reason, and that's kind of what we've seen over the course of this season. So
yeah,
when you look at those things and kind of see how everything kind of works out, it just kind of shows us like the dynamic at the end of the day. But I have confidence Sorensen when he plays Rover, we will be okay.
yeah.
So
If they could put him in that hybrid rover position, you know that middle, that middle gap position behind the linebackers, he does a phenomenal job. But when you put
mhm.
him on the edge in a true corner position, he's terrible. I'm sorry, but he
Okay.
just is, especially on third down, in man coverage. He's terrible.
Mhm. And I've
Um,
looked at some of the plays wherever he comes as a blitzing, and he has sometimes a hard time getting through the offensive line. I've seen that he's had some issues, but you know what? I think he can do something. Just got to see what happens moving into this game. So that's kind of my thought. What are your thoughts from
yeah,
that
I
standpoint?
agree. I mean, I absolutely agree. It's going to have to come down to execution, coaching, and the will to win. And right now, I know that most of these players that we have the will. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, um, we with the and I'm not going to stop harping on that. I think most of our coaches have the will to win and the will to, and well, let me just not put it this way, not the will to win, but the the loyalty. Let me say that's I think that's more the word that I'm looking at is loyalty to the team and to the players and to Andy Reid and to Clark Hunt. For the most part, our coaches have that. With the
Mm-hmm.
exception of one or two, our coaches have that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that we can. I still believe we can win out. I still believe we can win the Super Bowl. If we're playing Green Bay, that's going to be a tough game to play and a tough game to win. Aaron Rodgers is a very, very, very experienced quarterback. And now, don't get me wrong, he's made his mistakes. And there's times that he doesn't look as good as Mahomes does. And then there's
Yeah.
times he looks 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
So it it's all gonna it's just gonna boil down to loyalty, execution, and the will to win. And when
Yep.
they get those three things down, well, let me add one more thing in there: the right players in the right position. Um, when they get those things down, they'll be fine. So, but I'm still very excited with the moves that Veach made today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited about that. That was pretty strong. I'm really psyched with Omar, and I'm really psyched with with a
Lorenzo
defensive
Neal.
tech. Yeah, Lorenzo Neal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think I think he could be a star um, in the right system, and it could be a good
I agree
backup.
with you, man.
He could be a great fill-in. Um, and that's what they're looking for. They need that depth, and that's something we haven't had for Chris Jones. So
Mm-hmm.
um, hopefully he's the guy that can do it.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, we got something we got to announce, right?
Yeah, we have the giveaway winner of our All Decades 2000 Dante X Factor helmet. The
Yes.
winner is Sharon. Her is at Sharon08242. Sharon. Her is at Sharon08242. She's a longtime listener, longtime follower of the page. We appreciate everything you've done and continue to interact with us. We really do appreciate that. You are the giveaway winner, Sharon. So whenever you get a chance, DM us and we will get back to you. So thank
Correct.
you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Well deserved. Pulled your name out of a hat, and it just came out. So you are our lucky winner. And you know it's crazy because we had so many retweets, and which was great. So many likes and so many followers, but some of them didn't complete the few little tasks that it took to finish it off.
And Sharon
And
was one of the people who made sure to follow every single
every
uh
single one,
every every single one.
and everybody, so you understand, everybody that entered or thought you entered, uh, it took everything on the steps to be entered, and some of you just didn't do that. And when we did put it out, you still didn't do it. So um, for the ones that did, continue to listen. We have more giveaways coming up
Mm-hmm.
throughout the playoffs. And when we hit 40,000 followers, we have a special gift for everyone that I think, like I said before, I don't want to give it up, but I will. We don't want to give it up, but we will. And it's something that everybody and their brother would want in their collection, and a lot of people couldn't get.
Oh, for
So
sure.
um, just keep listening and keep following the website, www.chiefsfocus.com. Go to Instagram, follow us there, Twitter, Facebook, and you're always going to have an opportunity to win something from us. And we, we actually, we're not the people that don't deliver them. Everybody posts pictures of everything that they get. And we, as you see, we don't give away, how should I say this? Stuff you can get at Walmart. I'll put it that way. This is stuff you can't just go out and buy. It's hard to find anything, whether it be an alternative helmet or an on-field helmet, full size. Those are hard to just go out. You can't buy them anywhere unless you go to a sports store and spend,
good amount of money.
Yeah, it could be anywhere from $800 to $1,200. If you buy an on-field helmet, that could cost you, well, I can tell you from experience what it would cost, but I'm not going to get into that. They get up there in price. So I've seen them up there in the $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 range for a signed helmet. That was worn, it's an on-field helmet. So especially by particular players, we have some of those, by the way, you guys, and we're willing to give those out, but you have to listen, subscribe to the show, subscribe to the website, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and pay attention to everything that's going on. And you will definitely get yourself entered as long as you do everything correctly. So congratulations, Sharon. You just got yourself a authentic signed alternative helmet from Dante Hall, full size, all decades helmet. It's a 2000s all decades helmet. Really cool. And just DM us your information and we'll get you going.
Yeah, so just make sure to DM us and we'll make sure to get out to you. Just to let everybody know, JP's already said this, and everyone's already gotten their stuff, but shipping is very bad around the United States and around the world, so it's going to take time for things to come through. So, yeah. But we always make sure that everyone gets their stuff.
And I've messaged everyone and let them know that I've been getting updates on the stuff that was shipped. I mean, some of the stuff I shipped over a month ago and they still hadn't gotten there. Some of them got shipped back to me because of weather issues or COVID issues or whatever it is, and I've reshipped them out. They should be getting, the last few should be getting there by Friday. So there's only 2 left and they should be there by Friday. So with that being said, I think we can wrap this one up. What do you think?
I think we're good to go, man.
All right, brother. Well, everybody in Chiefs Kingdom, peace out. Have a great week and get ready for a really good game come Sunday. And we're going to do a couple of spaces between now and then. The last one we did, we had Christian Okoye jump on.
Just jumped on randomly. I was surprised.
Yeah, jumped on. And then he
just joined in.
Yeah, he joined in, saw it was us, and he was happy he jumped in. He stayed on for about 45 minutes, and him and I swapped old stories about what went on back in the day, and that was a lot of fun to do and catch up with him. And it was just a lot of fun. I mean, it's great to have somebody like him on that I personally know, and everybody else got to, virtually meet. And he's just a straight up great guy. So anyway, just check out the spaces and keep following us.
Yep.
Peace out, everybody.
See you next time, guys.